Okay, I have a METCAL preheater, METCAL PCT-100-21, which is a 230 volt input, and the total output of the heater is 400. Well, I said the power consumption, sorry, is 450 watt, and the total output of the heat itself from the heater is 300 degrees Celsius. So let's do a quick sort of an unboxing and go through the well, a short review on it as well. Nicely foam padded. A installation sort of well, operation manual, I should say. Okay, so there's that. Mains lead and the unit itself. Okay, let's put this box away. I mean, just going back onto the manual, it just sort of quickly sort of it's a quick setup manual, so you know, I'll go through the unit in more depth actually, so forget this. Okay, oops, the box can go back. It's quite a heavy unit, this actually. It's pretty small, compact size, but hence it's still sort of heavy. Oh yeah, I like the feel of this though. This is sort of, we're talking solid sort of a feel to it. You know, out of interest, I just want to sort of compare this with a cheap hot plate which I had initially. Let me sort of bring this over onto the bench. Let me just unplug this. Okay, there we go. This is the cheaper version of it, which is roughly about, say, between 80 to 100 pounds, something like that, versus this is almost like near 400 pound. Some of the retailers selling for stupid amount of price this actually in UK. So let me, in terms of weight wise, this is a lot lighter versus this. Let me check something. Get a scale. Since it's a review, I might as well just compare it with something that I already have. So I've set it to gram, so you can see that. Yep, the scale's set to gram. Okay, so let's put this on the scale and see what it weighs. It's 989 gram. Okay, and then let's weigh this. 1651. So that's the weight difference between the two, and quite obviously it's going to be the build quality. This is quite heavy duty versus this. Now, in all honesty, this is a mod here. It's an aluminium piece what I've cut to size so that I can sort of put larger sort of PCB on. This is the actual the heating element is inside this, and it's not a ceramic heating element. It's just a wire which I can see through that. The actual model number, oops. There it is. It's a Tenma SMD preheater, and that's the, I guess, the model number at the back of it. Now, I did have a look on the internet, and this has been discontinued. Now, don't get me wrong, this is okay, but when you're moving onto these sort of devices, you know, you're more professional, and you know, you do get a decent sort of heat. Now, the thing with this and that, one of the major issue is when you're increasing the temperature, this sort of increases the temperature instantly, whereas this one, it slowly starts creeping up the temperature, so you're not sort of targeting thermal shock onto the PCB, whereas this would actually do that. So what you pay for is what you get, sort of a thing in some instances. Now, yes, let's look at the dimension of it. Okay, so this is about I'm going to go do in centimetres. So this is about 17 centimetre by 13.5. And the height, I'm going to do the height from the plate itself, is about 5.5 centimetre, but with the studs I'd say just 6.5 centimetre. Okay, and this consume again is 200 in well, it says input 220 volts dash 50 hertz, right? Okay, but in terms of wattage wise, I'm not quite sure how much watt that this actually sort of draws. Let me have a look on the internet and see if there is anything I can find. Let's have a look. What I will do in that case is, let me see if I can get this. Is it on the screen? Nope. Right, okay, I don't know if I can add a screen, which I didn't do that earlier on, unfortunately. LCD. Let me see if I can add a capture. Monitor capture, yes please. And yes please. Okay, here we go. Fantastic. Let's shoot this down. Just make sure I'm recording. It is recording. Okay, so minimize this. Right, so what we're up against, it says Tenma, so it's TNMA mini SMD. Whoops. Preheater. As you can see, it's been discontinued. It does come with two sort of magnetic holder, which I do have them somewhere here. There we go. Let me sort of switch over to the screen. Yeah, those are the magnetic thing I was on about. Now, in terms of the total output of the unit, I can't sort of it says 350 sort of oh no, sorry, I can't find the output, but the total output of the heat output is about 350 degrees Celsius. And the good thing about this is, although it's very cheap and sort of a thing, is this is all marked with the temperature. So it starts with 100 degrees Celsius, 100 degree, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. Now, obviously, you've got the on and off switch here, and then you've got you can sort of manually turn the preheater on and off, and then you sort of turn the knob to adjust the temperature to your desire, really. So that's that. Now, moving on to this METCAL. See if I can get a bit more light in the room. Right, turns out to be a little bit dark for some reason. I just don't get it why it's doing what it's doing. That's better, much better. That. Move the camera a bit back. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so this first thing first is the that's the full sort of at the bottom. It's still got the METCAL warranty sticker on. There you go. It's the warranty sticker. A close-up view of the front. On and off switch for the preheater. And that's your temperature sort of knob. Now, Let me just cross-reference that. It is 300. I just don't remember it now, actually. Yeah, 300 degrees Celsius. So effectively, because you've got 10 different sort of gauge, well, I said 10 mark on this knob, turnable knob. I would sort of divide 300 by sort of 10, and that would be about 30 degree each knob. So halfway through here, it would be 5.5 and a half would be 150 degree. A full turn would be which is 10, which it'll be basically 300 degree Celsius. Now you have a little marker here, a white line, so you know when you, as you're turning, you know what settings you're sort of what heat settings you're at. Now I was interested in buying the PCT-100 series, which is a digital and a programmable preheater. Well, I'd say, oh, I do apologise. Sorry, that was not the 1000 sort of thing. Let me just find the correct part number. I do apologise. That I was referring to the METCAL hot air station. Actually, that's not the one. The correct part number is. Let's have a quick look and see if I can find that. Okay, METCAL PCT. Here we are. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it is. Sorry, yeah, PCT-100, which is a digital unit, but the cost difference is huge. It's enormous. The PCT-100 is roughly about. Let me just find out for you. METCAL PCT-100. Let's have a look at the cost of that. Let's go on to Amazon. Okay, and that Amazon shows about £950. Let's try a different website. METCAL PCT-1000. Let's go on to not 100, 1000. Let's switch over the scene and see if you can. I was looking at this actually, where you can do a lot of programs. You can store up to 50 different programs, which is absolutely bonkers. You know, it's good to have that many. It's way too much features, to be quite honest with you. Considering that the total power output on this is 1.2 kilowatts and 350 degrees Celsius. Now, I would imagine that this may have a large sort of a ceramic heat element inside. Right, okay, so as I said, it's £870 plus 20% VAT plus shipping, so that would be in excess of £1,000 actually. So going back onto the whoopsie daisy, come on, no. Okay, going back into the camera mode now. Okay, so let's turn this on and see where we go from there. I'm not going to sort of I'll leave this as it is. I've got used cables. I'll use them. Here we go. We'll attach this cable. Okay. So as soon as you plug it in, it sort of fires up. It's very quiet. I'll bring it up here and you can sort of, I'll take it near to the microphone. That's literally next to the microphone. Okay. Now, this is some sort of a safety feature, and also to sort of preserve the element, the heating element. I should say, prolong the life expectancy of the heating element. And it by default it turns on, and it probably switch off after 2 minutes. Same with the METCAL hot air station, what I have here above. It does exactly the same thing. When you turn it on, whether you turn the heater on or not, it doesn't matter, but it stays on for a couple of minutes. And even after using the system, it sort of stays on until the sort of couple of minutes until the element has cooled down. So right, okay, so let's sort of fire this on. When you fire it on, you sort of your gear, the LED turns into green, and there's still cold air coming out, but obviously you've got to turn the unit up. So I'm going to take it up to 150 degree and let it be. Now the thing to remember, there is a ceramic element there, so yes, it will take time for it to heat up, but you will get a true temperature distribution onto the PCB from this, because it works in a sort of a closed loop sort of a thing. Let me have a look and see what it was, the exact term, what they were using. I'll go through the main features actually, from the website. So it says accelerate and enhances the leaded free SMT and through-hole rework process. Temperature ramped up quickly, maximizing productivity. Adjust knob control and require the required temperature to below 300 degrees Celsius. Controlled cool down eliminates thermal shock to the PCB and components. So as I was talking to you about before, with regards to the basically with regards to the temperature sort of not ramping up high and not ramping up down, this is what they're sort of referring to, I believe. Yes, this is the point I was trying to highlight before. Is thermocouple feedback temperature control regulates output temperature. So what effectively means is that there is a thermocouple here, and that sort of monitors and constantly to sort of give you the correct distribution of hot air, and basically, so as you turn the knob to 300 degrees Celsius, you know, it's constantly just sort of monitoring the temperature, sort of a thing. I believe that's what they mean. Say system safety features automatically shuts off heating when the fan is stopped, which is a good thing. And ESD safe. So that's that for this device. Now it's yes, of course I can see the heat temperature sort of rising now, so maybe I'll try and sort of get me see if I can get a reading off this. I'd be better off with a thermocouple, to be quite honest with you, but let's just see what happens. No, I'm not going to get a reading off that. No chance. No chance. No, forget this. This is a waste of time because this won't do it. The thing you've got to bear in mind is with these sort of handheld temperature devices, if you've got a polished sort of a reflective surface, because it's sort of using infrared beam to sort of detect the temperature, you will get false reading because it's bouncing back off, sort of a thing. So I won't be able to get this a proper reading off that. So just that's that. And okay. So the ultimate question is, using a preheater, does it actually help? So I don't know this. I'm not going to answer this. Let's deal with this and see what happens. So I'm going to put a PCB on it. The temperature set at 150. Yes, you do need a sort of a stand. I'm not going to use a stand. So let's say that I want to move this crystal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on top of this. Okay, and I do understand that you need to think about I'm quite happy with the way things are. Okay, now I'll use my cheap hot air station. And the beauty of digital hot air station or anything digital is you know exactly what temperature you're setting it at. By looking at the numbers, whereas with the knob you've got to sort of estimate. But as I've said to you before, that is per gauge is about 30 degrees Celsius. So let's see if the board is preheated. Yep. I'm going to ramp up the temperature to about, say, 6, which should be just over 165 or 150 plus yeah, about 160, yeah, because the marker was lined up at 5.5, which was 150, so it's about 160. Okay, and now we'll use the hot air station. Let me find a pair of tweezers. Oops, sorry, I've just knocked the camera off, almost. And I can't find a pair of tweezers. Okay, let's bring the camera a little bit closer. See if I can get a closer view. Okay, I'm not quite sure if I can keep the camera to that angle. I'll try my best. I'll absolutely try my best. Right, okay, so now I've preheated the bod. I'm going to sort of use my hot air station and see how long it takes for it to sort of close. Okay, we'll just wait for the element to heat up on the hot air station. Right, okay, here we go. And let's sort of see how quickly I can get rid of that. Remember, I've not applied any flux and I haven't applied any leaded solder. Okay, that took a bit longer than I was expecting it to. Put it back on. Put it back on place. Okay. Let's sort of remove something else other than this particular. Right, what about the MOSFETs? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I know it sounds as bonkers as it may, but I have no stand, but I'm going to still sort of ramp the temperature up to about, say, 8. Okay. In fact, I think, to be quite honest with you, I'm going to sort of not use this cheap hot air station, but I'll turn the METCAL station on. So, whoa. You've absolutely no idea how cramped this room is at the moment. This is why I'm struggling to sort of do anything properly. Okay, so like I said to you before, when you turn the preheater, sorry, the hot air station, which is here, there, it sort of as soon as you plug it in, whether it's switched on or not, it still sort of stays on for probably about a couple of minutes before it switches itself on. So we would like to turn it on, set the temperature, leave the temperature to about sort of airflow. This is the airflow. I'll probably do a separate review on this. This is the airflow knob, which I've set to maximum 10, and I'm going to sort of set the temperature to about, say, 8. Now, I can't remember from the top of my head the total heat output on this, but when I do the review, I'd sort of I will definitely sort of look into that. But the noise level is a lot higher, unfortunately, on this. So let's sort of try and remove these MOSFETs. Okay, brilliant. Maybe try and remove this inductor. Brilliant. Okay, maybe this cap. Okay, and what else could I remove? Maybe this as well. There you go. Okay. And the whole idea of the preheater is to sort of, I mean, you can use it on many sort of application, you know, like type of job. If you know where I'm coming from, it will certainly help. You can, some of the components I tend to reuse, so having to sort of, yep, go back. I'm not bothered how it's put back on because that's not my concern at the moment. So let's turn this preheater off. Sorry, I'm in the hot air station. Right, so if I switch this now, going back onto the heat, this device itself, if I turn it all the way down and switch it off, the fan still runs, sort of cooling off the heating element. So still sort of hot, and it'll stay on for a couple of minutes until sort of it's sort of cooled down the element. And as I said to you before, it's to sort of prolong the life expectancy of the element itself. I can't see the element being any too expensive, but it can be quite hard for you to get hold of. Now I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that's the focus, sort of it's the correct term is, oh, never mind, okay, should be focus heat or something like that. But yeah, so as you can see, that inside here is the actual ceramic element. That's the height of the height distance, if you can, there you go, that's the height of the plate itself from the unit. And I think this was a typical example. The noise has just gone on the off on the background. That's the METCAL hot air station, which have just gone off actually. As I said, I hope that this should go off. We're going to leave it running, see what happens for a bit. Now the ultimate question is, does having a preheater, does it help? Of course it does. You can remove a lot of things that you want to reuse, particularly like connectors and things like these. I mean, if you can't get hold of these, you can reuse sort of, you can use the preheater to sort of remove them. Even as large connectors like these, or say Wi-Fi connector here, things like that. Because as soon as you apply direct heat onto it, it'll start melting because of plastic, unless you're using a dark infrared system, for example the Jovi 8500. I mean, I can't see people turning an 8500 to sort of replace a connector, sort of, you know, I just can't see it happening. Unfortunately for the dim slot, you know, if somebody's sort of working on replacing dim slot, then you will have to sort of use a Jovi 8500, because it's quite a large dim slot. So, you know, it's the dim slot itself is quite large, so you can't sort of use a preheater to sort of undo that. You can use a preheater also to reflow a small BGA chip and things like this. For instance, this one, something as big as that. You can maybe remove the I/O controller, which is roughly about 22, say about two, just under, I said 2.2 centimeter. Now the actual size of this is 5 centimeter, the gap itself. So, and as you can see, the unit has gone off all by itself, and the surface of the actual element can be touched. Plate is still warm, but the actual surface is nice and sort of cold. So I think, if there is anything else I'm forgetting, I don't think so. So the ultimate question, which I may have repeated before, is it worthwhile having? Is it worth spending money on a preheater? Well, yes, it does. So to a certain degree, a lot of things you can remove very quickly, very easily, providing that the board is brought up to the temperature. Now you don't want to apply whopping 300 degrees Celsius from the bottom. Yes, you will need to do that when you have a stand, because the stand will raise higher up, so about that high. So approximately, let me just give you an idea. So the stand will sit probably, you didn't see that, the stand will probably sit about that high. so you will need to ramp up the temperature for it to sort of expose the temperature underneath the chip, but I won't be doing that at the moment. I'll be using it as it is, sort of a thing, and just keep the temperature low, probably about to about 150 or something like that, which is 5.5 mark, or about 5 on this knob. And as I was saying to you before, yes, it is. You know, you can use a lot of take up a lot of components with ease with the help of this. Now going back onto the Tenma, let's move this off the. Leave it on this side. Let's bring this over here, and let's sort of do a very short review on that too. Okay, so your magnetic sort of a PCB holder, these are more for mobile PCBs and small PCBs, so you can forget about them. Let's power it on. So that's your power toggle. But the thing to remember, this is quite noisy. So that's right next to the microphone. Sorry, let's put it back there. But bearing in mind that there's a lot more airflow coming out of this, I think. No, it's not. I do apologise. It's just the motor that's a bit noisy. The airflow is same, pretty much similar to the METCAL. Then you've got the toggle switch here for your temperature, and you flip that on, and when this comes on, the element lit up, and then it goes down. So again, this has a thermal couple controlling the temperature. So as soon as it realizes that it's sort of I've set it to 100 degree, it sort of calibrates itself, if it makes sense, and then it goes to the set temperature what you've actually the user demanded. So I'll turn it up to about, say, 200, and you'll see that the elements sort of coming up again. I believe that it'll stay like that because of the temperature, I think. No, it doesn't. So it's reached its temperature, and it's sort of cut very, very low. The element is lit up inside the unit. Let's ramp it up to about 350, and that's 350. Cool. Okay. The element is still high. Now let me see if that sort of goes down or it stays on as it is. No. So because of the maximum temperature, the element's not going down. So, oops, I do apologise, guys. Fire alarm has gone on. Let me just turn the fan on. What's going on here now? Why isn't the fan coming on? Right, so the fan, the extractor fan. Well, at least my fire alarm's working, although that there's barely any smoke coming out of the unit. It gives me a chance to sort of test my fire alarm. So that's that. And one thing I did forget is the measurements for the METCAL. The METCAL from front to back is 21 centimeter. Wide is 15 centimeter. The height is about 6.5 centimeter. With the stud, I'd say about when I say stud, I mean these. It's about 6.5 centimeter. So that's that. Now, if you don't want to spend too much money, you could live with something like this, and I can assure you that you can live with one of these. You should be absolutely fine. You know, I mean, I've got a cheap hot air station here that I use for general purposes, which is an Atom 858D Plus. Now, maybe I can demonstrate something. So let's sort of using these two cheap. Now, all in all, this is about, say, roughly about 60 to 70 pound. This was about £50, so £100, which is a fraction of the cost of what this alone costs. So how good is this? If you buy this and this Aten, how much work can you perform with it, and is it good enough? Well, let's find out. So I'm going to target a different area, because that this whole sort of the other side's been sort of I've preheated that area, so I don't want to sort of reuse the same area. So I'm going to set the temperature to about 160, roughly about 160, well, just above 160, just so that I'm not cheating. There you go. Okay. Let's see if I can find a nice area where... See, one of the difficulties that people will have is using a preheater is fantastic, but certain areas where you cannot use a preheater, it'll be difficult, is like where you've got components like this, or your RAM slot. So if you've got anything that you want to remove which is on the opposite side, then a preheater can sometimes turn out to be complete useless. So still looking for an area where I can target. Probably do it near the CPU socket. The board heat up. I'll just bring my few extractor nearby so fire alarm doesn't go off again. And in fact, on this video, I'll probably consider sort of going through the METCAL hot air station. Let me see how much time I have. All depends on that. Okay, so yep, okay, so the temperature set on the hot air station Aten about 400 degrees Celsius. I'm going to just sort of wait for the element to heat up. And I do apologise for the noise in the background. It's due to the extractor fan. So let's see if I can move this. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to try a different area because I wasn't really happy with the result, because what you have to bear in mind is there is two large coil and a CPU socket just underneath that, just underneath these MOSFETs and things like that. So I need something that's a little bit clear. Maybe I'll target this area, which underneath I've got this IC, which I haven't removed. So let's heat up that area. Okay, and let's go in for the kill. I don't think you can see it. I do apologise. I'm going to have to hold the hot air station with my left hand. And it's moved. Okay, it's come off easily. It's been put back on easily. So, I mean, yes, it does help. Certainly, the preheater. So, my advice to you that if you want to take your work seriously, then yes, buy yourself a preheater. It will help. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. And the Aten, it's not a professional tool, but if your budget is low and you're starting a business, maybe you can consider buying one of them, and it should sort of help you out with it. And as you sort of have enough money to buy better equipment and better sort of a thing, then yes, you know, you're most welcome to do that sort of a thing. So basically that's that. I mean, I have a lot of I have two METCAL soldering stations. There's one here, okay, and there is a backup one just above. Let's see if I can get this camera to see, which, no, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it, but I'll give you a quick glimpse. There you go, just behind that corner, behind this box there's another MX 5000 series on standby sort of a thing. I don't skimp out on tools when I'm buying tools, actually, so I do have I've got nearly quite a handful of multimeters as well. Is it necessary to have all of them? No. Now the other thing about this Aten is that the user sort of switches on and off the element, so it doesn't have that safety feature with, whereas this, it has that it won't switch off until the element's gone off. So say at least 2-3 minutes it'll run, whereas this is down to the user to turn it on and off sort of a thing. So I'll leave this running for a couple of minutes, just let this sort of cool off. And in fact, my sincere apologies, I'm not going to be able to do the full review on the hot air station. Basically what I would like to do is I'd like to compare this cheap station with the METCAL hot air station, which is an analog. So you've got two knobs. What I mean by analog is two knobs here, airflow and temperature, air temperature. And please forgive me for the stupid backlight. So I'll probably do that another time, but today at least we've sort of looked at the preheater side of it, two different ones, and I would think this is it. If you've got any questions, by all means please post them on my YouTube channel, and I'll try and get back to you guys. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, really appreciate it. Take care and all the best.